How's it going, everybody? This is the Uncanny Omar from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions, and welcome to the Marvel solicitations for collected editions in September of 2024. And I'm never alone doing these. I have gathered a group of friends, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves, starting with this gentleman to my right.
Hi there, I am Curtis Findley from the Epic Marvel Podcast, and glad to be here as always. It's a blast being with this group of people. You can find me at epicmarvelpodcast.com or anywhere where we talk about Epic collections. James is putting links in the chat as we speak. Thanks, James.
Thank you, James. Peter! Curtis went, now it's your turn. Who are you? Where can people find you, buddy?
Hello, everybody, coming to you live from the bottom of the world. I'm Crisis with a K, broadcasting here from New Zealand. I am found on the internet at crushing with a C, crisiswithak.com, crushingcrisis.com, where I write about all of Marvel and DC new releases every week and have comprehensive guides to how to collect and place in the correct reading order Marvel and DC Comics, as well as some indie books as well. I'm so happy to be here with my friends, the core gang, although we're down maybe one or two core members of the squad here, but it's always a wonderful time to talk solicits with my friends.
Yeah, thank you for being here, buddy. And let's go with the Norwegian assassin, Lars Pearson. What's up, buddy?
Yes, hello, Lars Pearson, Norwegian assassin from Mad Norwegian Press, publisher and editor-in-chief of Mad Norwegian Press, also formerly of Wizard Magazine. And I apologize that I'm broadcasting to you from my secret bunker where I keep all the missing Doctor Who episodes. I've said too much. No, normally I have all those X-Men posters behind me, and I feel like they're my backup dancers, and I kind of feel, bereft without them. But, Gladys Knight without the pips is still pretty fabulous, so I will endeavor to be as awesome as she is without them.
Oh my God, did you just compare yourself to Gladys Knight?
Well, we're both fabulous,
By the way,
your mask slipped, Jess, and I saw your face and therefore recognized you. I'm sorry, your disguise.
You just gave away his secret identity. You called him Jess.
No, he gave away his secret identity.
Okay.
Your disguise, we saw your face. It's less than your disguise is less than complete.
Frick.
No, I know.
Max, who are you, buddy?
I'm Max. I read books and I play guitar. I post guitar videos on my Instagram and YouTube. I'm also on the NMC Discord where I spew filth and post my erotic Fraggle Rock fanfic. So if you're into that, join the Discord. A lot of fun.
Fraggle Rock fanfic. Thank you. I appreciate that. I always had a thing for the redhead. I can't even remember that one, the Fraggle's name. Jess, what's up? The notorious one down there with the towel.
Notorious DOG right here. Adorable Omnidog. I'm on Omnidog's Vault. Omnidog has a presence on Instagram, and I have a Discord. Happy to be here with all my buddies. Good to see everyone.
Excellent. So, 6 of us, and we are going to be talking about the September solicitations. Omar, have you seen Bleeding Cool's news about DC and Marvel Amalgam? Omnis will only have one printing. Yeah. PRH told people to keep that quiet. Lars is Gladys Knight. Omar's Tito Jackson. That guy had money. I'll take it. Omnidog, a man who knows where his towel is.
Oh yes. True.
Oh yeah.
Here.
We totally Oddfell would have gotten that reference.
I know.
What is that reference?
Oh my gosh, Jess.
Did they not make a comic about the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
I don't know.
That's like my holy text.
Jess, you being of a certain vintage, I would have expected you to have read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
No. Speaking of a certain vintage, I will say I look a hell of a lot better than FDR did when he passed away at 63. I'm 2 years older than him. Go Google a picture of FDR at 63. I am totally kicking his ass. Yes, I know he saved America. Yes, I know he saved the world. Yes, I know he's a racist, anti-Semitic. I'm just talking about how he looked. I look a lot better than FDR did.
To be fair,
that is the level of vanity we're looking at.
If anybody's playing bingo, those were not on my bingo card.
to be fair, he had polio, and maybe that,
And he smoked, yeah.
And smoked a lot, yeah.
Yeah.
Is there any other tidbit of information about FDR you guys want to share? Or are we done? Good. Can we move on to the Marvel?
His daughter helped sneak his mistress into the back of the White House.
Nice.
Lars here with all of your presidential adultery facts.
I only know about his dad.
That's not an episode of Doctor Who.
No, but back then, it was, getting away with adultery is so much easier. If you have someone to let them in the back door, no one will find out. It's fine.
That's okay.
Hey, hold on a second. Which president is FDR?
Franklin D. Roosevelt, you Canadian.
Oh, okay.
Got
it.
Hell?
He's one of the lesser known ones.
Yeah. What? Who's FDR?
He's only 65. Yes, Jess.
Thank you.
65. That's right.
All of you Americans, assuming your American privilege that we know all
Hey,
the.
you're American there, Johnny Depp. Just because you've lived outside of the States for 2 years doesn't make you a New Zealander, okay? All right.
It's a spicy start today, folks.
Wow,
It is.
Jess. I never know when Jess is having a good day or a bad day.
Yeah.
I can tell he's having a good day.
Actually, one last adultery note that is Doctor Who related.
Gosh.
Tom Baker, and this is real. Tom Baker, and this was in the 70s, I think, gave an interview to a newspaper in which he just was overly honest about his relationships, and then he realized his live-in girlfriend might take objection to this. So when the newspaper arrived, he made sure to dash out and remove the features section so that she couldn't figure out all the stuff he'd confessed to. Again, this is what it was like to cover up adultery in those days. Just remove a part of the newspaper, you're fine.
Who is this? Who?
Tom Baker.
Who's Tom Baker?
He's
the doctor, you heathen. What is do you not know Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy or Doctor Who? What do you spend your time watching? Football?
Sorry. And FDR tapes.
Apparently. Maddie coming in right at the right time. I came in for one last adultery. All right. Who's Tom Baker?
Right, I know. Just has no shame.
I am. Sorry.
Are we done? Can we finally get to the solicits?
Who's Leonard Nimoy? No, go ahead.
Oh,
all right.
Like you're the same.
One that I've announced already, but so glad that people are finally going to be able to get it is Daredevil by Bendis and Marvel Omnibus Volume 2, wrapping up Daredevil by Brian Michael Bendis. Collecting Daredevil 61 through 81, collecting What If Blank Had Lived, in case you can't read. What are you doing here, though? Ultimate Marvel Team Up 6 through 8, 656 pages, $100. You guys wasting hell of time. It's what we do. We love to chat. We got to get used to that.
We have wasted maybe.
Comes with the stream. Who is Wolverine? He's the best there is at what he does.
I do like how they have in red italicized text the blistering conclusion of one of the greatest Daredevil.
Yes, this is the third printing of this book.
This will give you blisters.
My skin is peeling just from the glory of holding it here in the previous catalog.
Secret Wars Battle World Omnibus Volume 1 with a Jim Chung cover and a Humberto Ramos cover. Collecting a lot of the miniseries. So big thank you to Jess for buying all those trade paperbacks a couple years ago. I think I even helped you. He's like, what do I need for Battle World? And me and Riley put together a list for you. So thank you, Jess.
I bought all these.
Have you read them?
Yeah, I even did videos on them.
Well, I'm so proud of you. All right,
Thank
collecting.
you.
It looks like an alphabetical order, which is
Maybe let's get started.
So Witch Hunter Angela, A-Force, Age of Apocalypse, Age of Ultron versus Marvel Zombies, Amazing Spider-Man, Renew Your Vows 1 through 5. That needs an omnibus by itself. Armor Wars, the half issue, and 1 through 5. Captain Britain and the Mighty Defenders 1 and 2. Captain Marvel and the Carol Corp 1 through 4. Civil War 1 through 5. Deadpool Secret Wars 1 through 4. And E is for Extension 1 through 4. If you're not familiar with what this is, these are miniseries that take place in alternate realities, if you will, of the Marvel universe. And I don't know if all of them, so I'm just going to play it safe and say most of these did come out in 2015 when Secret Wars was going around. I think all from this batch, but I don't know if later on they'll reprint some of the ones that are kind of like retconned in. I'm curious what the next batch will have. And yes, this looks like it's collecting it in alphabetical order, because it's not like one miniseries led into another story. These could be read as standalone miniseries.
And I think the thing to know for people who just like know the hype of Hickman's Secret Wars, and Jess can chime in because he's read all of these, is very few of these really connect directly to the spine of Secret Wars. It's not your typical event tie-ins. I think of this whole batch, the only one that really sticks out to me is maybe maybe Marvel Zombies, because they're like outside of the wall and that becomes a factor at one point. But Jess, a lot of these kind of just stand on their own as what those characters are doing elsewhere in Secret Wars, right?
Yeah, like I see A-Force, that it had to, I mean, they were on their own separate, just A-Force, for example, they were in their own separate reality, but Doom was still in charge in this reality. I think that's kind of the reality they all share, is that is the Doom is the sorry, I didn't mean to spoil it all. Somebody's in charge there.
Well, I mean,
sorry, 10 years ago story. But yeah, I think that's really the only thing that is the tie that goes through them. And if I recall correctly, I enjoyed several of these, didn't enjoy some of these. I mean, it's a mixed bag depending on what you want. I remember really liking A-Force and the books that followed up from that. I thought Singularity was an interesting character that I'd like to see more of.
I think it's a mixed bag, like Jess said. Like, hits and misses.
Didn't some of these have a war zone or battle zone?
Yeah, the other one was War Zone.
War zone, right? And so are those mixed in here, or is that a completely separate thing?
I think that'd be separate, right, Omar? They'd be war zones.
Well, I was mapping this out in my head. We're going to need at least 3, maybe even 4 of these. Peter, chime in. War zones, would they be together? Wouldn't they better, or wouldn't it be better just to mix them all?
I was almost sure they're mixed. Yeah, so
1602
is a Warzone title, but Age of Ultron versus Marvel Zombies was a Battle Worlds title. And Mighty Defenders was just in the other bucket that didn't have a War Zones or a Battle Zone. So there's no picking and choosing. This is doing all of the miniseries all in one place, alphabetically, regardless of which title bug and got. And just to be clear for folks that have never read it before, Battle World stuff happened kind of in the universe of the main Secret Wars. So like Gillen's Siege, which I would say is the one essential one because it actually relates closely to Hickman's main plot, happens on Battle World itself. And then the War Zones titles kind of happened in the other realities that were encircling Battle World. So anything that had a War Zone bug in the cover was less relevant. So like 1602 Witch Hunter Angela, written by Marguerite Bennett, great if you like Angela, but really no actual relation to the main Secret War. And what we're saying is that this line does not care about what the title bug was. It's just all the miniseries all in one place, alphabetically.
But if you already own the Omni's Avengers by Hickman, how much material am I going to have? None of this is in those.
Not a one.
I don't know that any of it's essential.
Yeah, these are the standalone miniseries. And the best way to describe it is like, it's an anthology of opening a door and seeing the Marvel universe like in different universes. Like, I don't want to spoil what some of these are, but like Renew Your Vows is what if Mary Jane and Spider-Man had stayed married and had a kid. And that's what Renew Your Vows is. So it's that universe. That universe doesn't overlap with like Old Man Logan, right? Which will be, I assume, the miniseries, the one by Bendis and Sorrentino, will be part of this, maybe in volume 3. 1,288 pages, $150. Dark Web Omnibus, both covers, the Ryan Stegman and the John Romita Jr. cover, available the same day. Dark Web, Amazing Spider-Man 14 through 18, Venom 13 through 16, Dark Web X-Men 1 through 3, Dark Web Miss Marvel 1 and 2, Dark Web Finale 1, Mary Jane and Black Cat 1 through 5, Gold Goblin 1 through 5, and then material from the Free Comic Book Day 2022. I know that I've had people email me and ask me if there's a way they could add the Hallow's Eve miniseries, because I can't imagine that being collected anywhere else outside of this omnibus, which is a good idea. It's a good addition to have. But both covers available the same way. This is a wraparound cover, which I revealed on the breaking news video.
The Hallows Eve thing takes place after the event, though, doesn't it?
Yes, but so does Gold Goblin, right? Doesn't Gold Goblin take place after Dark Web?
Gold Goblin starts happening kind of like while Dark Web starts happening. And if this was a perfected reading order, there are the first couple of issues of Gold Goblin you can read sort of during the tail end of Dark Web. Same thing for the Mary Jane and Black Cat series. Even though it's entirely within Dark Web, it's happening kind of off camera during the end of Dark Web, and then they get back to the continuity after Dark Web has concluded. So it wouldn't be totally remiss for them to include Hallows Eve, especially because Hallows Eve plays a big role in this. You know, a lot of people are trash talking this, but if we want Marvel to always give us an omnibus for every single major line-wide event, then we need to have an omnibus for every single line-wide event. This was not line-wide, but it was the Spider-Man line and the X-Men line. They got Ms. Marvel in there as well, who's kind of a de facto member of both of the lines. And, you know, it might not be for you, but it's part of the practice of us getting omnis for every event as they go, and we all tend to appreciate that. Also, those two Ms. Marvel issues were really, really good.
I'm not a fan of this, but I'm gonna go ahead and say something that is pretty obvious to anybody that has been buying omnis for a while. This is Spider-Man. This is X-Men.
Yeah.
One day this will sell out. And one day I'm going to get emails. Omar, when is Dark Web coming back to print? And I'm going to remember that and look back at the announcement of the Dark Web when people were like, I can't believe they're doing this instead of Spidey 6. And that's just the way this is. For the love of God, we've had reprints of the Clone Saga. So anything is possible. Spider-Man by Joe Kelly Omnibus. Both the Ken Lashley and the Phil Jimenez covers available the same day. This is the book that people have been asking me what happened to it. It looks like it's been resolicited. And I have asked Marvel what's going on with Captain Marvel by Kelly Thompson Volume 2 and Brian Michael Bendis Guardians of the Galaxy 2. So I promise as soon as I hear, I will let people know through social media. And I know I shared it on our Patreon. I'm also going to ask them about the Avengers spine. And I'll see if they can change one of the spines to match the red one. Collecting 575 to 576, 595 to 599, 606 and 607, 611, 617, and 625. Nonstop Spider-Man 1 through 5. The follow-up Savage Spider-Man 1 through 5. Marvel Fanfare 2 and 3. Web Spinners Tales of Spider-Man 7 and 9. And the material from Amazing Spider-Man Extra 1 and 3, and Amazing Spidey 577, 600, 612, 634 to 637, 647, and Spider-Man Grim Hunt the Craven Saga, 880 pages, $100. For the people wondering if this is going to double dip with Brand New Day, not so much. It will double dip with the Dan Slott, maybe? No. Brand New Day Volume 2. It will double dip that stuff, but I think this is the only place you're gonna find Nonstop Spider-Man and Savage Spider-Man.
This is Joe Kelly, so it's got to be good, right? I haven't read this stuff.
You haven't read any of his Brand New Day era?
No.
It's Joe Kelly, so it's good, but he's also part of the Brain Trust that was writing Brand New Day. So Bob Gale and Dan Slott, and was it Zeb Wells? Zeb Wells was actually part of that Brain Trust, right? Yeah. And I can't remember who else. There was somebody else. But anyway, Mark Waid? Yeah, I think it was Mark Waid. So even though the stories are good and standalone, there's still some overall arcs in here. But I like this run. But like I said, it will double dip with Brand New Day Volume 2. Whenever
I think the positive selling point on this is that Joe Kelly writes this very fun, quippy version of Spider-Man. I think he's one of the best at kind of quippy Spider-Man, and this all stands very much alone. So if you had a friend who just wants like quippy Spider-Man, or if that's what you love and you don't really care for the big overarching plot, you just want to read a whole book of Spider-Man being funny and action, that's absolutely what this is. I'd probably rank Joe Kelly in my, top 3 of recent, like past decade Spider-Man writers. People in the chat pointing out that he wrote 2 issues of the Amazing Spider-Man run, the current 2022 run, mostly by Zeb Wells, but there's these 2 drop-in issues by Joe Kelly. They came out right around the time of Nonstop Spider-Man and Savage Spider-Man, so kind of weird that they didn't pick those up for this omnibus, but I guess they want to save those for an eventual all of Amazing Spider-Man by Zeb Wells omnibus.
And there
Fine.
are people that still buy creator-centric books. That's what this is for, not the completists, right?
Yeah, none of us know them, but they do exist.
Apparently. Oh, look at that beautiful cover.
Oh,
Curtis, tell me about this book. I know it's not an epic, and it's almost blasphemous to ask you about a Marvel Masterwork. But tell me about this book. What is this? Doctor Strange, Volume 11. What's going on here?
Doctor Strange Volume 11 is issue 74 to 81 of the series of the second series of Doctor Strange. He goes through a lot of different series over the years, but this is the one that started in the 70s, and then it also has a great graphic novel by Mike Mignola that you can see on the cover here, and along with, what is it, Strange Tales 1 to 3? That's his next ongoing series when he shared the title with Cloak and Dagger. So there's it's a kind of a grab bag variety, but you got some good writers in here: Peter Gillis and J.M. DeMatteis, Roger Stern. Really, really nice stuff. Stuff that hasn't made it to Epic Collects. Is that 75? I can't remember. 75.
Well, Epics haven't gotten the what's it called yet, though, right? The Triumph and Torment.
Yeah.
Has that been Epic? Oh, I'm thinking of Omnibus. Oh man.
The Epic collections have only gone up to number 51 so far. So yeah, this is not quite where we have gotten to.
$75, 344 pages, and then your buddy. How do you say his name, Curtis?
Well, if you go by the pronunciation that Stanley wrote right on the cover of whatever that first appearance is in X-Men, it's Ka-Zar. Ka-Zar.
But
like quesadilla.
I don't know. Yeah.
Thank you, Lars.
This is one that I would really love in Epic Collection, and I'm glad it's getting the Marvel Masterworks treatment, because that means it'll come to Epic eventually, I'm sure. So this is a lot of fun stuff. Steve Gerber, Doug Mensch, they're just two stellar writers, and they do a great job in this title.
Ka-Zar. That's the way I've always pronounced it. Blood Hunt. Trade paperback, Jed McKay, Pepe Larraz, and Sarah Pichelli. Collecting Blood Hunt 1 through 5, material from Free Comic Book Day, Blood Hunt X-Men. 144 pages, $19.99. I am curious, because if they're going to release the Peter, you keep up, and Max, wasn't there like a blood version, like a parental advisory version of this?
That's not even in digital, so I don't know if we're going to get it in a collected edition. It seems to be like a floppy only promotion, because they're all polybagged. So the only way to read it digitally is if somebody happens to post a screenshot on Reddit. There is no official digital version. It's been a lot of fun so far. The Laura's art is incredible, of course, and I really like the conceit of the beginning of it. I'm an easy mark for vampire nonsense in general, let alone vampire nonsense in the Marvel universe. Yep, but I think it starts out with this very clever thing that's happening to make it so that the vampires can rampage. And of course, we're only 2 issues into the main series right now, so who can say if it's going to be a stellar event from start to finish. But I think the notable thing is it very much comes out of all 3 of those books. Higher on that page, it kind of immediately drops in the full Avengers team directly from McKay's run and feels very similar to that. It has the Moon Knight characters from Jed McKay's Moon Knight run, and Doctor Strange plays a massive role. It also spins out of last year's Brian Hill's Blade series, and if you haven't read that, certainly you might be left with some questions that people who read the Blade series could answer for you. So I like it because it's a Marvel event that like very organically came out of a lot of books, instead of just being one book with one cool arc that Marvel's like, you've got to do an event of that.
The strategy of overcharging people for a slightly enhanced polybag version, I was having some acid flashbacks about that. I mean, that's the sort of malarkey you would have expected from the 90s and things like that. But,
well, you would know. You were the one that priced.
Well, I still have not recovered from the Executioner song. We'll overcharge you and add a trading card.
It came with a trading card.
It's awesome. What did they overcharge? Like $1, right?
Yeah, whatever it was. I mean,
it's hard because the print run of that one has got to be way smaller than the regular edition, so the price probably has to be higher, because they're not going to get a good by unit like per unit price on it, since the print run is so smaller. And then the polybag, the poly bag as well is going to add cost to it as well.
I could be mistaken. Like, I don't feel like they've actually added that much. They've added a few extra pages of gore, and that's I was like, okay,
right. But they still have to print the other pages. Like, it's not.
No, absolutely right. Yeah, no, absolutely positive. I'm just saying value for money. So I was like,
You give me a polybag trade paperback with like the red band edition. That's what I want too, John.
It's not just added pages or added panels or anything. It's that certain pages are entirely different. Shout out to Tom of X. He does a great comparison video where he has the regular and the red band side by side.
That's awesome. You know what that reminds me of? When Eric Larson did that with Savage Dragon. Do you remember that? I don't know if anybody remembers, but Savage Dragon was accused of being over-sexual, immature content. So he put a super sexy edition, and then he put a non-super sexy edition. It didn't last very long, but he at least tried for a few months, to come out with that.
Yeah, it's also slightly odd that they think that anybody walking into a shop and buying a Marvel vampire comic would want the family-friendly version. I don't know.
I want to just bring up that Noel Bartucci in the chat brought up a good point. Even though I said it emerged from all those other books, this is not an event where you need to know any background. If you've read all those books, it's pleasing because it does kind of organically tie all those characters in. But there's nothing you could have read before this that's going to explain it to you. Even if you've read the Blade series and you kind of understand where Blade is, Blood Hunt is a very just go to the shop and pick it up event.
The Aaron Capullo Wolby will also have a red band version, right? I haven't heard. Anybody?
Hickman Capullo will have a red band version. Yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Look at that. A quick question. Isn't there another Secret Wars Omni coming out in December? Yes, that is the Hickman Secret Wars. Yeah. And we were talking about double dipping. That one double dips with the Avengers and the New Avengers. Price is a bit much, but it's cool to see Marvel push things for once, and the extra altered pages are pretty neat. I'm just hoping that there is a collection of that stuff. I feel like I'm missing out.
Well, they have another comic out at the moment that's very graphic. The Get Fury comic. I don't know if it's anyone.
Max? Is that a Max line by Garth Ennis?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's pretty graphic.
Well, it's Garth Ennis. He's always pushing that boundaries.
For those of you who gave floppies a long time ago, I mean, if the extra content's available on Marvel Unlimited, then great. If it's not, well, then, I mean, if they're never going to collect it, I'll probably never see it because I'm just not going to rush out and I'm not buying singles. So I'm not going to buy a polybag single issue just for a few extra pages. And
I can see the Wizard cover now.
Well,
Angry old man refuses to buy polybag comics. Spider-Man Blood Hunt. So issues 21 through 22. And it's not just Zeb Wells writing this. Oh, because it also... Okay, wait a minute. It's Spider-Man Blood Hunt and Amazing Spider-Man 49 and Miles Morales 21 through 22. Okay. So it's not part of the... I wonder if that issue of Spider-Man Blood Hunt will be collected in the Zeb Wells trade paperbacks for completists.
I believe they have listed for it. It's a very one-shotty issue. It's actually one of the best Peter issues that Zeb Wells has written in several years now, because it actually really feels like Spider-Man doing Spider-Man things. And then Justina Ireland takes that and spins it off into the miniseries, and then Miles comes in his actual series, but then Zeb Wells kicks off the next ASM storyline in ASM 50. So this is just one issue to launch the miniseries.
I think I just wanted to make sure. Okay, that wasn't the same. So they usually do, but sometimes they leave out an issue. Because that has happened in the past.
Oh, yeah.
Miles Morales Spider-Man by Cody Ziegler, Volume 4, Retribution, collecting Miles Morales Spider-Man 17 through 20, and Web of Spider-Man number 1. I've been reading these in trade. I don't know. I know Max and Peter keep up with the monthly issues. I like Cody Ziegler's take on Miles. I don't know how you two feel. I feel like he can write a kid well. It really feels like this is a teenager dealing with all these issues and also being a superhero. I thought that was a nice touch to the book. I didn't really get a lot of that in Saladin Ahmed's Miles. Have you all been keeping up with this Miles by Cody Ziegler?
Yeah.
What do you all?
I really like it. I really like them. There are a few, not to spoil things, but there's a few team up dynamics, and then it's very clear that Miles is the younger person, looking up to the person he's teaming up with. It's very fun.
Okay. Peter, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I actually really like Ziegler's voice for Miles. I like the cast he's using for Miles. In this particular volume, I don't love Federico Vincentini's work on him. I think he was so good on Moon Knight. It gets a little gawky here, and not gawky in the fun, like bendy Ramos way, but almost like more angular. So I actually had trouble making out the art in a lot of these issues, but that could just be me and my old eyes. I like a bendy, round Spider-Man more than an angular Spider-Man. But it's fun because it actually feels like Miles has a plot of his own now. He's not just randomly fighting other Spider-Man villains. He's got his own cast of characters, and Ziegler has actually done a really good job of kind of fleshing out his rogues gallery, and that is definitely what I enjoy the most after this. That cover with all those Spider-Man villains is just to get you to buy the book. He's very much got his own foes in this run, and I think that's a lot of fun.
You know how you get Lars to buy the book? You put that thing in a poly bag and put a headband on it.
Now, Lars, after you take the books out of the poly bags, do you separately bag and board the poly bags in addition to bagging and boarding the individual comics?
No, I buy 2 copies, obviously. One to keep in the poly bag, and then one to, as you say, preserve the one that's out of the poly bag. Yeah.
Right. And then you frame the poly bag.
Absolutely.
You buy 2 copies, you monsters. You keep one in a poly bag because it's going to be worth hundreds of dollars later on.
Clearly.
Just like my Death of Superman and Return of Superman.
It will help me. Yeah. It will help me pay for the college tuition of the children I do not have.
Predator.
Feel free to send that this way.
One day.
Curtis and I will take it. Well, he lives in Canada. I mean, we're not even in the United States. We'll be fine.
No, do you have real money in the countries where you live? I don't know.
Whoa!
I've never
What
seen
are you
most of the
doing,
paper
Lars?
money here. Everything is so bank transfer here. Like I've literally never held some of the denominations of money in 7 years.
Really? What they do, they hold poly bags as monetary value is what they do.
Yeah.
You would not fit in, my friend. Predator: The Last Hunt. Ed Risen, Francesco Mana, collecting Predator: The Last Hunt, 1 through 4.
I actually read this for the stream, even though I don't usually read Predator. You can really just pick this up. It's like a fun kind of like humans get stalked by predators. And what's interesting is that Brazan, this is a multi-book arc. Every Brazan Predator book builds on the previous one. And this one started with a really great recap. I've never even seen a Predator movie. I'm an Aliens person. I'm not a Predator person. I felt like totally on board. I understood everything that's happening. It was fun. It was like a fun, if you like the idea of predators being super stalkers and like what kind of humans might be able to take them on, that's exactly what this book is.
You're more of an Aliens person, not a Predator person?
Love Aliens. I have the Blu-ray box set. Love Aliens.
Yeah, absolutely.
Predator 1 and 2 are solid, though.
The chat is expressing skepticism that this is indeed the last hunt. Do we think that's an accurate description?
No, absolutely not.
I actually dug the first 2 miniseries, also by Brizin, wasn't it?
Yeah, because they all connect.
Oh, this one connects with it? Okay. And speaking of aliens, like, oh my gosh, look at that. Look at that red band art there, Lars. Alien Black, White, and Blood, the Treasury Edition, is coming out in January.
You know me. I like to feel like the blood is spraying me in the face. So this is excellent here. Yeah.
All right, Peter, what is it about Aliens that you enjoy so much?
Well, I think it's interesting because I like the movies because I love Sigourney Weaver. I love the suspense and the tension. And I love that there's this kind of overarching through the years, because they keep going the cryosleep story about how screwed they are by this corporation that just wants profit and doesn't care that the aliens are like the worst bioweapon in the universe. The comics are a little bit different because Alien comics, after the first 4 miniseries in the late 80s and early 90s by Dark Horse, have always kind of just been anthology books. They very rarely have a central spine that they all tie into other than just the general status quo of the universe. So Alien comic books are kind of very different than Alien movies. And this, of course, is anthology. Although I will say in the main line of Marvel Alien books, they are playing with a little bit with the, what is that corporation's name? The Waitangi Yulani Corporation. They are something like that. They are playing with that a little bit, but this is, of course, just one-off blood and guts stuff. But some really cool creators on it: Kellyanne Lansing, Stephanie Phillips, Stephanie Williams, Cody Ziegler's on this, Steve Fox. Really, really cool people doing these stories.
Pornsack Pichot, Infidel.
The Good Asian.
Infidel. That book, he's the one that worked on that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Much better than his Good Asian.
Oh, Infidel was amazing.
Yeah.
Like that creeped me out, and it takes a lot.
yes.
The Aliens, What If? I heard it was really good.
People on the stream keep saying that. I'm gonna have to read it.
The
Y'all.
What If? Yeah, 'cause
Yeah.
It's written by
Paul Reiser.
Paul Reiser, who's a comedian, right, and also played Burke in the movie. So
Yeah, this is another one that Peter and I are curious on the same page. I really like Alien as well.
Really?
And although I always have a little hard time with the Alien comics, because for me, Alien is such a kind of sensory experience of the soundtrack and the visuals and everything else, and the comics I have a little hard time getting there.
Oh, I think it really depends on the comics. Like some of the best ones were in that Alien Omnibus volumes 1 and 2, or sorry, Curtis, Epic Collection Volume 1 as well. Some of the best ones are in there. I'm serious.
Yeah, Epic
if you
one
haven't
is
read them, they are so good.
They are very, very good.
Wayland Yutani. What
I
Wayland
wasn't that far off.
So someone in the feed put Wetland Utani and then had to correct it. So yeah, it's Wayland Utani.
Somebody said Alien black, white, and red band. I like that. Ultimate X-Men is coming out with a volume 1. This is the Peach Momoko era of Ultimate X-Men, collecting the first 4 issues, 152 pages, $19.99. And there we have Armor. I read the first issue. I don't know if this spoils what's going on, but I'll leave it alone. I thought it was just okay. It's so different, and I don't know if it even reads like it's set in the same universe. And it doesn't need to, right? It can be a standalone thing. I get it. I don't know. What are your thoughts, Max? You've been reading Ultimate X-Men, right?
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm very curious to see them cross this book over with the other Ultimate books, just to see the different characters in the different art styles. That would be very interesting to me. But I think it'll read better once it's collected in like a number of issues, because now it's very interesting and I'm enjoying it, but it is kind of a slow build in a way. Like it doesn't really have a team.
I felt like the first issue was a slow build up. Like I felt a little confused, and I was like, is this the same universe? This is funny. Ultimate X-Men confuses me. Ultimate X-Men is peak. It's not X-Men. Like all three.
It's very divisive.
Peter, what about you? You're an X-Men guy, I heard, but you're also not an Ultimate guy, I heard.
Yeah, but I've been reading all this Ultimate books because Hickman drew me in, and the thing is that, and I think this is what the conflicting comments are getting at, is that it doesn't really feel like it's of a piece with the Ultimate Universe. All the other ones stylistically go together in a way. They all feel like they're all the result of this very specific inciting event in a specific way. This really feels like they should have just let Peach Momoko launch a new Marvel mangaverse. And I'm not saying that to try to like constrict her to only doing something that's labeled manga and that she shouldn't be in the Ultimate Universe, but it just feels so separate, art, tone, everything from the other Ultimate books, that I almost wish that she got her own line. I do want to see the Avengers in this style and the Hulk in this style, but this style, it almost feels like it's at war with the style of the rest of Ultimate. So I understand why people are loving it, and I understand why people are confused.
Yes, I mean the things that one appreciate about the old Ultimate line, or even if you had an open mind for what Hickman's going to do with the new line, this is a shocking departure from it, even if it's.
But don't you want to take chances? I can see where they're coming from as an editor. Don't you want to take chances?
Oh yeah.
I mean, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Like her Demon Days were amazing because they are part of like their own little universe.
Yes, but also my question then would be: is this going to be the new normal for the Ultimate Rage? Because if it isn't, then
Well, I mean, if you think about what X-Force did with Peter Milligan and Mike Allred, if they hadn't taken a chance, like
granted,
we would have never had Ecstatics.
That book stands on its own. I think the problem here is that this one doesn't have the same synergy as the other books. And if you think about things like Executioner's Song, that miniseries where you have pencilers that all work together, except for Jay Lee stands out like a sore thumb. It's like that's the same kind of thing. It's like I feel like they should have got artists that complement each other if this is going to be a shared thing, which I think is what the original Ultimate Universe did really, really well. I mean, Mark Bagley is not Brian Hitch, but they still work together more than Peach Momoko does.
Yeah,
here.
she clearly is a wonderful talent. It's just,
absolutely.
It's just putting it under that brand was kind of odd.
And I guess the thing I'd say is like if you like Peach Momoko and you like alternate takes on X-Men and you want to read sort of a manga-esque influenced take on X-Men, you don't have to read the whole Ultimate line to read this. And similarly, if you're reading the whole Ultimate line and you're like, oh, this is just not my thing, you're not going to lose anything by not reading it. But it is part of the Ultimate line. But I think it's the part that feels the most off to the side. And it just feels weird to me knowing that they have trouble integrating X-Men often into the other comic books, that they would deliberately put X-Men at such an arm's length from the rest of the Ultimate line. It just seems like an odd choice, but I think there's something for everybody there.
It can be an odd disincentive when they're trying to get the Ultimate range going again. I mean, the Ultimate range has been dead as a dodo for quite a long time. So it is good though. In its own right, it is good. Yeah.
Dead as a dodo.
Yeah.
It's very dead.
The New Zealand moa.
Is that what the money? Is that what the currency is there?
No, that's a huge bird that we used to have.
Lars is bringing back Dead as a Dodo and Malarkey. Like, I love it. I love it. I haven't heard that in so long.
Can you tell I was raised by a man who was born in 1919?
I think you're a time traveler. Miss Marvel, The New Mutant, Volume 2. Iman Vellani and Sabir Prasada, who also worked on the Miss Marvel show. I've enjoyed the first trade. I really liked it. And this is collecting Mutant Menace 1 through 4, 112 pages, $15.99. I haven't read this one, but I liked the first one. And I always look, we're not stupid, right? Like, we know when somebody big, like a movie star or a TV star, comes in and says, I'm gonna write a comic, you can get I'm trying to think of something like I guess Astonishing X-Men. Okay. Right? Or you can get something like that Spider-Man by J.J. Abrams' son, which I cannot even remember the name of that book.
Bloodline.
Yeah, it really helps that the creator in question just has kind of comics in their DNA. I mean, whatever everyone's feelings about Joss Whedon, he had comic books in his DNA. But I think if someone really has no clue of how the medium functions and they're just doing it in their spare time, then that's a problem.
I think Iman was great in this. I really liked the writing. I thought it was good. Like, it harkened back to the classic Captain Marvel days and then classic Miss Marvel days of Carol Danvers. And I thought it was done really well. I don't know how anybody else feels, but it surprised me. I'll say that, because I went into it with like, okay, she plays the character. She was a fan. I get it. But even fans that like go and write comics don't make for good comic books, right? But it worked.
I mean, she's upset. She, as a human being, is like exactly like Miss Marvel in that she writes fanfic about Marvel. Like, she'll argue with Kevin Feige on the red carpet about like Marvel universes and which characters appear in which one. She really knows it, and it's not just geek knowledge. It comes through in kind of this reverence for Miss Marvel's own fascination with the Marvel universe. The first volume, which was New Mutant, was more about her kind of being an X-Men and doing mutant stuff. This one, which is called Mutant Menace, is more like 4 one-shot stories that explore her connecting with different parts of the Marvel universe. I just read issue 3 last night because it's only came out like a week or two ago. It's just so charming. Just a really charming book. Miss Marvel, like exactly the way you fell in love with her from G. Willow Wilson, but with a kind of broader world.
Yeah, things like this, CM Punk on Drax, like it just doesn't always work, right? It doesn't always work. But I don't know, I really liked it. So I don't know how anybody else feels. Venomverse Reborn, collecting Venomverse 1 through 4, 112 pages, $15.99. I could not tell that was Tony Danielle, but now that I'm looking at it, it is. Okay. I like to see
not a single issue of this one out yet.
Al Ewing, Benjamin Percy, Christos Gage, Philip Kennedy, Johnson, Adam Warren. Wow. That's a heck of a lineup there for the writers. Greg Land, Brian Level, Danielo Beirut, and John McCrae. Oh, John McCrae. That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's the guy that did Hitman. Like his stuff. And then What If Venom? What If Venom 1 through 5? Jeremy Holt. And is this one out? Any of the issues out for this one?
3 or 4 issues are out. I'm not sure which one exactly.
And this is every issue is a different character getting the symbiote. I think they've done Wolverine, they've done Doctor Strange. I think Loki was one of the issues. Jeremy Holt has written some deliciously transgressive indie stuff. So I'm very curious to see if we can get him on a mainstream Marvel book after this. But I'm sure that he's probably doing some fun here in these one-shot what-ifs.
It's pretty fun.
I think that
like
cover
the
credit is
character
correct.
design of the Venomized,
No,
character.
that's not Leno Francis Yu. That's Cicada, isn't it? Paulo Cicada?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good eye, Curtis. Captain Marvel. This is volume 2 of Alyssa Wong's run, collecting issues 6 through 10. You know, that first volume reminded me of the way that Bendis wrote stories, like when he was starting out with Ultimate Spider-Man, like Marvel Comics. It reminds me of like the way that Bendis did it. Not so much the dialogue or the talking heads, but it was like the padding out of, man, this could have been done in one issue. Like that's what that first volume reminded me of. There was just not enough going on, and we had like 5 issues of it. But I like the artwork by Jan Bazaldua, who is getting somebody else in here though. Have you all been reading the Captain Marvel, Alyssa Wong's run? Thoughts, Peter? What are your thoughts?
It is a comic book in which Captain Marvel wears a jacket.
Nothing delicious in this.
Anybody else? Anybody?
I compared it to Bendis.
I read it, and then I stopped reading it.
I like how they say something like compared to the blockbuster Marvel Studios movie, The Marvels. Blockbuster apparently meaning big and not necessarily successful.
Meaning best movie that Marvel's done in years that nobody watched.
I saw it and loved it. Shut up, Lars.
I personally enjoyed it. No, I personally.
Yeah, good. You just stick to that.
I did enjoy it, but it didn't do great. Yeah.
All right, so here's my pitch. If you feel like Captain Marvel is too often off on her own, and you want to read kind of like Captain Marvel as a buddy cop thing, and also more characters around her as a family other than just Spider-Woman, who tends to be like her perpetual best friend for good reason, this does have that vibe. But the consequence is that she often doesn't feel like the main character in the book. So if you like that kind of, I think DC has been doing an amazing job of that, of making every book a family book, even though it doesn't say family. Flash is a family book, Superman or Action Comics is a family book, Green Arrow is a family book. This is Marvel attempting that, which I think is a curious thing to do with Captain Marvel. I don't think the plot is strong enough, and I agree with Omar that it's just been drawn out far too long. I think they could have done that family thing if Alyssa Wong was like whipping out 1 and 2 shot stories. Since they're not doing that, I think that's where the struggle is. But there are things to appreciate about it for sure.
It's got good art. Edge of Spider-Verse, Spider Society trade paperback. Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly, those guys, man. Solid. Edge of Spider-Verse 1 through 4. So this is the most recent Edge of Spider-Verse. And this is there anybody new in this one? I assume this guy's
the
new?
lead stories are all new spiders. It's been really charming.
Steve Fox and Alex Segura. Okay, Carrie Andrews was coming back to do Spider-Man Reign. 120 pages, $17.99. I am going to no, I did ask. I haven't heard back yet about Carol Danvers, or I'm sorry, Captain Marvel by Kelly Thompson. Captain America by J. Michael Straczynski, Volume 2, Trying to Come Home, 7 through 12. 144 pages, $19.99. I almost argued with my good friend Peter over this because I really liked the first volume, and I remember he said not for him. So but you said it happened later on. Whatever happened, I don't know. I haven't read second volume yet.
Look, I think there are some people who love Cap no matter what he's doing. And in this second volume, that's for you because it's very uncap. It feels like a really off to the side sort of like, why is Cap even the hero involved in this? And some people really love that about Cap. Some people are always looking for him to kind of be doing some like government-y thing. This is much more mystical. It has some fantastic art by Carlos Magno, although I do think it's the wrong colorist for him. And I forget, he was just recently on another book with a much more fitting colorist on Immortal Thor with Matt Wilson coloring him. But I would encourage people to pick up that first JMS volume, which is very like Cap in the late 1930s, before the war, Cap kind of dealing with the idea of nationalism, Cap dealing with the idea of good and bad. This one's a little farther afield, so don't start here.
Okay. I'm curious to read it. Okay, this is a good question. I'll go from the very top. Nope, this one. What Captain America run is the best to start with? Jess.
Well, I was interested in the patriotic vampire.
Just answer the question. We got a lot of books to go.
I think Brubaker's the place to start. That's where I got everything great. And Captain America, all in 5 volumes. I read it all in one weekend.
Okay. All right. Thank you for playing.
Yeah.
Curtis.
If you just want a short run, I really like Jan DeMatteis's run in the 80s. Thought that was really great.
Peter.
Brubaker.
Okay. Lars.
Yeah, Brubaker, I think.
Okay. Max?
Yeah, Brubaker.
Brubaker. Final answer. Okay, you're out of here, Curtis.
I don't deny that Brubaker's great. I just needed a different voice in there.
I like that.
I'm doing better on this than the Evergreen show.
Incredible Hulk Volume 3, Soul Cages. Collecting Incredible Hulk 12 through 14, Giant Size Hulk number 1, and then Hulk Blood Hunt. Philip Kennedy Johnson, Nick Klein, Andrea Boccardo, 128 pages, 17.
And Danny Earls. Great 2 issues of Hulk in New Orleans. Really, really beautiful art from Danny Earls.
Are you digging this,
all
Peter?
colored by Matthew Wilson, I want to say.
Do you like this, Peter? Because I know you have issues with the writer.
No, I begrudgingly came around on this. It's just so pretty. It's an art book. It's a beautiful, beautiful art book that Philip Kennedy Johnson is kind of just like sprinkling some like there are monsters and just letting his artist go off. And I think if you like 70s horror Marvel, if you like 1 and 2 shot like Hulk versus some kind of crazy monster stories, that's what this is serving. And it's just so good looking. So it's going to be an amazing omnibus, guaranteed.
I'm loving this run. I think it's dark. It's crazy. And it's okay. It's normal. It's dark and normal coming off of giant spaceship Hulk storyline, which I like I said, sometimes you got to take chances with characters. No love for Mark Waid's run on Cap. That's a great run. And so is Mark Grunwald's run.
Yeah.
But if we're looking for something like easy to get into, like Captain America, like when Mark Waid took over, Captain America was like dead, right? Like quote unquote dead. And like that first issue doesn't even really feature Captain America. I was thinking of something like fun and espionage, and just there's a reason why that Winter Soldier movie did so well.
Yeah. Brubaker is much more in line with what you, if you're coming to it from the movies, certainly Brubaker is much more what you expect. The Mark Waid run is excellent. It is, but it's much more retro.
They collect the giant size Hulk in this, and they've been doing this really weird thing with giant size issues, where it's just a normal issue, and then there's like a classic issue slapped on the end of it, just to like inflate the price or something.
On the single issue?
Yeah. So you get the issue and you think, well, this is cool. This is like a 60-page comic, and then it's just a regular issue, followed by like a classic issue, like a Peter David issue.
Oh, dude, that's it. That was a Stan Lee thing, like from back in the day.
Yeah.
Or like reprint. Can you imagine nowadays if like let's take Hulk as an example. If they were like, oh my gosh, Philip Kennedy Johnson didn't get his script on time. Let's reprint something from Donny Cates' run, and we'll call it issue number 20. Can you imagine that happening nowadays like they did back then? People would be up in arms. Put a different cover on it. Fantastic Four, another series I've been enjoying the hell out of.
I've been waiting for this one.
Carlos Gomez, Ivan Fiorelli. Oh my gosh, this is such a good series. I just finished reading 3.
Oh,
Peter, does it ever slow down? Because I really like it. Like,
No, I mean that it's all every so often he sneaks in like a 2-issue thing, but it's just one.
Yes,
And
love it.
The Franklin Richards one I think is in the first issue in this, maybe, or maybe it was at the end of the last one, but it just doesn't let up. I think there's going to be a 2-issue arc for Blood Hunt, which is what the cover reflects here. But you can pick up any issue, any trade. It's in love with Marvel's first family. It could not be more reverent to the characters in the history. Just
Like,
a pure delight.
Yeah.
Omar, when does Volume 3 come out?
this month.
This month? Okay,
June,
that's the
June.
one that Peter is waxing so poetically about 11 and 12.
That
I
actually
really
has my least favorite story,
hope it's not
but-
11 and 12.
but it's still one of the best Fantastic Four stories. Just because it's my least favorite story of the one so far that he's written doesn't mean that it's a bad story. It's just how good the run has been. It's still a great story.
This is one of my favorite ongoings at the moment. It's great.
It is great. I'm reading on Marvel Unlimited, which means I'm a little behind, not too behind. It is just odd that, I mean, Ryan North is a very talented writer, but I'm used to him being completely insane. Like on Scroll Girl, or this is the guy who invented dinosaur comics. And, you know, Fantastic Four, he plays it. I mean, it's wonderful. It is actually great, but
And
it's
smart.
It is very well. He's always been smart, but he's been just a lunatic in many regards. And here he's not a lunatic, and I'm finding that a bit hard to get used to. But it's excellent.
Curtis. Okay, Curtis.
He left.
Epic Collection.
We were just a little too slow to take advantage of Curtis's vast
Curtis was
epic
holding on.
knowledge.
Amazing Spider-Man Epic Collection, Web of Life, Web of Death, Volume 28 of the Amazing Spider-Man in Epic format, collecting Amazing Spider-Man 397 to 399, Web of Spider-Man 120 to 123, Spider-Man adjective list 54 to 56, Spectacular Spider-Man 220 to 222, Spider-Man Unlimited number 8, and Funeral for an Octopus, and Spider-Man the Clone Journal. So it's more of the Clone Saga. And it is a cover by Steve Butler, I believe. Yes, Stephen Butler's the cover artist on that. And there's the whole trade dress with a new Vulture. Oh, this era. Epic Collection Ghost Rider. This is Volume 2, The Salvation Run. This is the classic stuff. Collecting Ghost Rider 12 through 28, Marvel 2-in-1 number 18, Daredevil 138, Marvel Team Up 58, Marvel Premiere 28, and the material from Marvel Tales 255. 408 pages, $39.99. Don Glut, Chris Claremont, Roger McKenzie. Look at the amount of talent, man. Steve Gerber, Bill Mantlo, Marv Wolfman, Jerry Conway, Tony Isabella. So I'm glad that more of the classic Ghost Riders coming out in a Epic Collection. The one true Ghost Rider. That's not Danny Ketch, Bill Owens. This is Johnny Blaze, the granddaddy. Actually, I guess that would be the Phantom Rider.
Right.
Star Wars New Republic. Oh, Curtis, where are you? I think this is the last one, if I'm not mistaken.
It is.
Collecting Star Wars Invasion 0 through 5, Rescues 1 through 6, Revelations 1 through 5, the Handbook number 2, Crimson Empire, and then material from Star Wars Tales 18 through 19 and 21. And the end of the New Republic. That's it. Tom Taylor, Dave Land, Colin Wilson, Lucas Marangon. And the covers by Joe Chen, who I love her covers. I wish she would come back. I think I know she doesn't do comics anymore, but recently she did like a Street Fighter anniversary cover, and I was like, oh, I miss her so much. She's such a great cover artist. $49.99, 520 pages. Give us Amazing Spider-Man Epic Collect. I thought 16 was the one everybody wanted, Scotty. Right? Isn't 16 the one everybody wanted? Wasn't it the joke that it was 16, 6, and 26? We're firing Curtis from the Epic Marvel podcast in the Facebook page. Mutiny. Crushing Crisis. Marvel needs to be doing more for Bar, and it feels like Omar's fault.
Bar.
Wait, doing what for her? Like rubbing her feet? What are we talking about here? Yep, it's 16. That's what I thought. It was 16. Yes, my friend. Crushing. I can get behind that hashtag. Oh, you want 14 and 16. Dude, the majority wants 16, I think. if I'm not mistaken. Meet me at the bar. I need Amazing Spider-Man Epic 19. Okay, everybody wants something different. Daredevil Modern Era Epic Collection Volume 3 out. And this collects Daredevil 32 through 50. $44.99. Brian Michael Bendis, Alex Maleev.
Yep.
This era of Daredevil. And more of the Modern Era Epic Collection and Captain America, Death of the Dream, Volume 2. Collecting Captain America 18 through 30 and issue 25, Director's Cut, Winter Soldier, Winter Kills, Fallen Sun, The Death of Captain America 1 through 5, 520 pages, $49.99. And this one's 448 pages, $44.99. Look at that wonderful cover by Ron Lim. I think Jim Lee did the inks on that cover, if I'm not mistaken. Captain America Epic Collection Streets of Poison, back in print. Collecting Captain America 372 to 386 and annuals 9 and 10, 512.
Do you have an issue with Fallen Sun?
I do too. It's not that good. It's not that good at all. And annuals 9 and 10. I think is it part of the Omnibus too? Isn't it part of the didn't they add it to the Omnibus? I can't remember because it's not. But anyway, it's not by Brubaker. Incredible Hulk Epic Collection Future Imperfect, back in print. Collecting Incredible Hulk 407 to 419, annual number 20. Future Imperfect, the main reason to get this book. 1 and 2, Incredible Hulk Ashcan Edition, and then the Marvel material from the Marvel Holiday Special.
This era of Hulk is so great that I actually own it in omnibus form and in epic form. It's like, why do I have both? But it's pretty great.
Yeah, I love later Peter David Hulk. This is my era of Hulk.
Yeah, same. This is so good.
Yeah, as good as Peter David is, it does take a while to get going. But then,
but by now it's solid.
By now it's absolutely firing on all pistons.
Yeah, this is the Gary Frank era, Paul Pelletier era, and then of course the legendary George Perez on the Future Imperfect. Oh, it's so good. And that wedding, Death makes a little cameo in that wedding from DC Comics. Who else could get away with that besides Peter David? Oh, love it. Marvel Age Treasury Edition. Somebody was just asking me what happened to this book, and I said, I think it's being resolicited for February of 2025. Collecting Marvel Age 1000, Amazing Fantasy 1000. It's 176 pages, $34.99. So this is
I'm
just
usually a little bit allergic to these like one-shot celebration. Like who was waiting for Marvel Age 1000? Anybody? Bueller? But these were really good. I mean, if you have the stomach to just sit down and enjoy these kind of anthology style issues, which I think the problem is that Marvel just has no vehicle for these. DC has a lot of vehicles where they can do these one-off anthology stories, whether they're vintage or whether they're set in current continuity, and Marvel doesn't. So Marvel always is like inventing these places to put them, other than of course the ongoing Marvel's Voices series of single issues that they do for all of the major celebration months. But as I was reading these, I was just like, this is just delightful. If you're somebody, I don't know if I would go and spend $34.99. But if you're somebody who has Marvel Unlimited and you just want to read some very delightful stories in the Marvel Universe, I just found both these issues incredibly pleasant. Like, I feel like I have to defend myself for liking them because, like, why am I saying these things about these random 1000 issues? But it's good when comics are good.
Yes.
Well, if you think they're delightful, I'm going to pony up and get this.
No. Nobody said that. Let's not get it twisted.
That's what I'm taking my own responsibility for my money. And if Peter thinks it's delightful, I will spend my money because I ignore my Marvel Unlimited app like I ignore everything else in my collection.
So $34.99, but it's a Treasury edition, so it's oversized, and that's what
and they were long issues.
Like we're looking at artwork like Steve McNiven and Pepper Larraz, Carrie Andrews, Michael Cho, Jim Chung, Adam Kubert, Ryan Stegman, Olivier Coipel. Like that's some stellar artwork. And the main reason to get things like Treasury editions is because of the art.
Yeah.
So,
and let me
because
just say,
there's going to be a trade paperback of this, though.
Yeah, Peter talked me into it. I'm doing it.
Well,
Okay.
here's my notes from Amazing Fantasy. Falco and Cho deliver an absolutely outstanding, timeless, perfect small crook Spider-Man story. Slott and Chung with an absolutely beautiful and unexpectedly emotional future Spidey story in his 60th birthday. Iannucci and Stegman with we didn't like that one. Raul and Kopel with a sweet, good-looking throwback tale to Peter's freelance photog days. Anderson and Kamunkoli with a total, didn't like that one either. Busiak Dodson with a cute throwback story, as you would expect. Hickman and Chichadze with a clever little excerpt of Spidey hanging around the FF's bridge. Very funny for Hickman. And Gaiman and McNiven. Oh, I cried, sobbed at the Gaiman and McNiven, creating an autobio tearjerker that is just brimming with emotion.
Wait, who's
the Amazing Fantasy? Just so many great Spider-Man stories.
Who's the writer in that one?
The last one? Neil Gaiman.
What? Say no more. Okay.
Yeah. So obviously there's some pretty high-profile artists and writers.
I'm getting this.
Only Marvel comic to get an Eisner nomination this year. Yeah. Thank you for
Kelly
that.
Thompson leading all of Marvel.
That's the Gaiman issue where he shouts out his friend Jonathan Ross, who is a massive Spider-Man fan as well.
Oh, true.
That's awesome. I love that. Gaiman writing a story for Marvel. Man, it's been a long time. And then the Mighty Marvel Masterworks coming back with the Amazing Spider-Man Volume 5. These are the smaller digest-sized books. I love them. My kids love them. Issues 39 through 46 and annual number 3, 200 pages, $15.99. So very, very cool. Now, at this moment, I do want to remind people, if you live in Europe, to check out our sponsor in Europe, and that is Walt's Comic Shop. They have flat shipping rates for €12 for all EU countries. All emails answered within 24 hours. And just head over to waltscomicshop.com and tell them Near Mint Condition sent you their way, or use the code Near Mint Condition, all one word, at the checkout, and you get free shipping for all EU countries with your first order of over €40. It's Walt's Comic Shop, your reliable source for omnis and premium collected editions in Europe. Ting. Let's go back to the beginning.
I actually got to have a chat with Walt of Walt's Comic Shop recently. So, talk about one of us. Like, if you want to shop from a comic shop who total nerd for continuity, loves talking about all the same things we talk about on this channel, clearly really, really cares about a bookshelf. Not that anybody who goes into the business of selling comic books is going to hopefully be that way. It's not like there's a lot of profit to be made here, but it just was so fun to talk to somebody who is exactly the brand of nerd of everybody who's watching the show and chatting with us and on this panel, and thinking oh, it's cool to buy your comics from that person. And it just gave me warm tinklies, I have to say. So I'm not in Europe, so not so helpful for me, but they actually have pretty good shipping rates to countries outside of just the EU. So if you're outside of the United States and you're looking for books, I would actually pay to check out Walt's Comic Shop as much as all of these other big retailers.
Walt used to put out YouTube videos. I mean, he loves reading. He loves the collected editions, and part of the reason why he decided to go online and start selling instead of just having the physical storefront, which is currently closed right now, was because there was just such a need for it over there. Yeah. And you're right, he is a huge fan. Okay, let's do this really quick. Doesn't really matter, but in case anyone is curious.
Oh,
Maleev.
Alex Maleev. Is this going to be another one of the DG Chichester ones? Everybody corrected me, and then somebody, was it you, News Pooey Channel, that sent me the video where he's like, "Hi, I'm DG Chichester," and I was like, "Mother, that's the way I was." And everybody in the chat's like, "That's how you say Chai." I'm like, "Okay, well, how do you say it?" So then I look. Thank you, Joe Cool, for bringing it up. I appreciate that. Okay, let's do a quick recap. Okay, this is the one that always gets me and Curtis. Jess, how do you say his name? How do you say Texas name?
Teixeira. Teixeira.
Tex Tex.
I just call him Tex.
Or Thanos.
Thanos. I got that one. How do you pronounce? Kelly Thompson said it's Aja.
Aja?
Yeah. And I don't know if she's trolling me.
Well, because she
That
said
would be great if
everybody
she was
pronounces
trolling
it
you.
as if it's very Spanish, but he's French, and so
Yeah.
it's like everybody puts a flair on it that's not necessarily.
Asha.
Look, I'm bad at pronouncing my last name. I want to respect everybody's names and identities, but I am crap at pronouncing names. Full stop. Even my own.
So I thought it was Aha too, and then she kept saying Aja. So I was like, she's worked with him. I don't know the guy. She probably knows how to pronounce it. And then I asked her, and she was like, yeah, I just, because he's French. And I'm like, okay.
How
That sounds
do you
about right.
pronounce Teixeira? Do you pronounce it differently than Teixeira?
I don't even know anymore. Teixeira.
Chicchetto. Or
Cacchetto is the way that I was told to pronounce it.
Yeah, because that in Italian, starting with a
right?
ch with k. Yeah, Cacchetto.
Yeah.
Chicchetto?
Cacchetto. But I could be wrong.
Chicchetto.
In French, it is. Alex. Alex is
Oh,
French.
that clears it up. Now we know.
How do you pronounce it? Like age. So, Aja.
Like age?
Aja.
Aja?
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 Like Steely Dan.
French nor Spanish? I don't know. That's what she said. Yeah, I'm out. I'm not playing this game anymore. All right. That's it. PG Chichester, baby. I lived in a town called Versailles, Kentucky, not Versailles, Kentucky. So it ain't my fault.
Don't you love that when people in the States, you live somewhere that has a Europe name and I lived on Greenwich Street, spelled, of course, Greenwich. But everybody knows to say Greenwich, and you would meet the little old Italian ladies in South Philly, and like at the voting booth or whatever, and they go, "What's your address?" And you say Greenwich Street. You mean Greenwich? I always
Greenwich Village.
Greenwich Village.
I lived in New Orleans, and trust me when I say the pronunciations there are insane.
Omar, next time you interview the artists and writers, ask them. I did.
You did.
Yeah. And Kelly Thompson said, "My name is Kelly Thompson."
Well, no, it was Declan Chauvet, right? I interviewed him, and he told me how to say it. And then somebody said, "That's not the way you pronounce it." And I was like, "You need to take it up with Declan because he told me that's how you pronounce it." Or maybe he's just being nice. It was like, this poor guy can't pronounce my name. I'm out, man. I'm out. I ain't fighting the spine on knees. I'm not fighting that fight or the pronouncing names. All right. Dynamo by Bendis and Maleev Omnibus coming back to print.
Malayev.
God. Malayev. Mother of God. Wars Battle World Omnibus. That's going to take a while. Omnibus Volume 1 coming out. And Dark Web.
Totally getting this and watching it with Madam Web in the background.
You would actually probably love Madam Web because you love like X-Men The Last Stand. And you're the only person I know that loves X-Men The Last Stand.
That sounds like, the Room 101 scene from 1984 all over again.
I don't know what that reference is either.
Okay, wait a minute. What? David Aja is Espanol. He was born in Spain. I'm gonna write Kelly Thompson an email. Kelly, I know you may never want to come back to my show, but just in case, actually, it's Doctor Strange, Volume 11 of the Marvel Masterworks. Ka-Zar as our good friend.
Ka-Zar.
I'm done. Blood Hunt.
I'm getting started.
Paperback. Amazing Spider-Man Blood Hunt coming out in trade paperback. And then Miles Morales Spider-Man. By the way, big thank you to Marvel and David Gabriel for sending us this advance solicits. These will be out everywhere about halfway through the month, sometime in June 15th or so. Miles Morales Spider-Man by Cody Ziegler, Volume 4, Retribution, Predator, The Last Hunt, and Alien, Black, White, and Blood Treasury Edition. Kelly was trolling me.
That would be the best.
Oh my God. I would have so much more respect for her. I already love her stuff. So I was like, she's going to become my favorite writer if she was trolling me. Because that's some next level trolling.
There should be a memo going around their office saying, yeah, make sure you mispronounce names when you get on that guy's show.
So that is Peach Momoko's Ultimate X-Men, Miss Marvel, New Mutant, Volume 2. And Venomverse Reborn. And what if Venom? James wrote Dark Phoenix is better than
Well,
a lot of things are better than that.
virtually
Wow.
every movie ever made is better.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I would rather that. That even saying those words makes me ouch.
Yeah.
What if Venom? And Captain Marvel by Alyssa Wong, Volume 2, The Undone, and Edge of Spider-Verse is coming out. The 2024 series, issues 1 through 4. So these just finished and wrapped up. Captain America by J. Michael Straczynski, Volume 2, Trying to Come Home. Incredible Hulk, Volume 3, Soul Cases. Fantastic Four by Ryan North, Volume 4. Omar, I just emailed you. You should read it immediately. I swear, if it's a bunch of creators' names, I'm not doing that, Phil. Spider-Man Epic Collection, Web of Life, Web of Death, and Ghost Rider Epic Collection, The Salvation Run, the classic Ghost Rider. Star Wars wrapping up the New Republic with Volume 8. And Daredevil Modern Era Epic Collection out. And Captain America Modern Era Collection, Death of the Dream. Coming back to print, Captain America Epic Collection, Streets of Poison, and Incredible Hulk Epic Collection, Future Imperfect. Marvel Age Treasury Edition, and Mighty Marvel Masterworks Amazing Spider-Man Volume 3. And let me look and see if Phil Owens did email me something. He did. How to pronounce? Oh my gosh! You know what, man? I'm gonna get DG on my show one day. And
Have you not interviewed?
No, I've never have. And I actually like his Daredevil run.
I know. I'm like, you're
it
one
will
of
be
his
my
big
shortest
fans.
interview. How do you pronounce your name? DG Chichester. Got it. Thank you. End of episode. That's it. That's all I had. Like, I don't fall from grace. I loved it. All right. Okay. What is the book you guys are most looking forward to? Jess, kick it off.
I think the book Peter recommended to me, the Marvel Age Marvel Treasury Edition for $34.99. I really like the sound of that. The one
Man, Peter sold you on
5
that
stars. Yeah, well, I do want that Fantastic Four by Ryan North. But yeah, I'm excited for the Treasury Edition of Marvel Age and Marvel something or else.
It's the 1000th issue.
The 1000 issues. There it is. Marvel Age Treasury Edition. I think there's a blurb by Peter in there somewhere. Buy
Should be
this.
in the back.
Spend your money.
What about you, Peter? What's the book that you give your seal
This
of
one.
approval to?
Well, you know, that Doctor Strange Masterworks is probably going to be my final Doctor Strange Masterworks. It's one of my few ongoing Masterworks lines, and I generally jump off of the Masterworks when they kind of transition to a different run in the 80s. So I'm really excited to have the original full run of the 74 series entirely in Masterworks. And then also, I'm always excited for epics. That Ghost Rider epic, you know, I decided to not go for the Ghost Rider Masterworks. And so those epics are my way to mainline 1972 Ghost Rider. And I'm very, very excited for that. But yeah, I thought actually this was maybe my last living Masterworks line that I'm still collecting. But then there's a Ka-Zar 4. I'm like, I didn't know there was going to be more of this. So I guess I'm also buying the Ka-Zar book.
I did not say if you buy Dark Web, it will be worth money someday. I said it will be out of print, and people will be asking me 4 years from now, Omar, when is Dark Web going to get reprinted? And I'll say, I don't know. Go and vote. Marvel Masterworks Ka-Zar, huh? What are the last lines, and why stop at this one? Why no Volume 12? Out of curiosity, because this ends that particular era.
I just think it's weird because I was there at the newsstand in the late 80s. I don't necessarily need those in Masterworks. I'm happy to have them in Epics. So like Daredevil, I jumped off either before or right after Miller. Defenders, I'll probably collect to the end. Doctor Strange, I'm jumping off here because it's the 80s. Fantastic Four, either before or after Byrne. A lot of them, I'm just like looking to get into the mid 80s because I want all the like classic stuff in Masterworks. And for me, this is the point where that cuts off in Doctor Strange. Actually, the stuff after that is really good. But what's funny is Volume 12 is just going to be the rest of that Strange Tales series. And then if we get to a Volume 13 Doctor Strange Masterworks, it's literally going to be Doctor Strange Sorcerer Supreme in Masterworks, which is wild to think about.
To me, it's getting crazy. Like, X-Men has been like Masterworked when I was a kid, and I'm like, this is weird. Masterworks to me were like, for people like Lars to relive their younger
How
days.
dare you?
I was there for the written word. I remember when Stanley.
You look like FDR, Lars.
Wow. Lars, what's the book you're most excited for, buddy?
I don't. It's a reprint. I don't know if it counts. Selfishly, the Bendis Omnibus, Daredevil Omnibus, just because I kind of missed it the first time through, and I was playing the long game. I was like, I'll just sit and wait for this to eventually come back into print, and lo and behold, here it is. If we were doing something new, I suppose it would be Ryan North's Fantastic Four, which genuinely has been pretty terrific. And I'm not a Fantastic Four completist. I mean, it is good enough to keep my attention. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, Max, what about you, buddy?
I've got 3 of them that I want to get. I want to get the Black, White, and Blood Treasury thing because I'll collect those. And I want to get the Spider-Man epic and the Ghost Rider epic because I collect those as well.
So both of the epics, the Ghost Rider epic, that's the way you've been getting it?
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you something, man. Like, are you the type of person that if you get the epic, are you happy with it? Or if they make an announcement of an omnibus, would you get the omnibus?
Depends on the content and how complete the story would be. If it's an ongoing, if it's a story that they'll be very satisfying to read in an omnibus.
Well, let's use Ghost Rider as an example. Like Ghost Rider, the Johnny Blaze era. Would you replace your epics with an omnibus, or be like Lars and keep everything?
I think I'll keep those as epics. I'll have to really, really like the stories and want them upgraded to buy an Omni.
Okay, I'm always curious what people do when they're like, "Oh, I've been getting these," or Peter, you're more of a Masterworks / epic guy, right?
Yeah, for me, so often I'm, in addition to reading it all the way through, I'm constantly pulling books off the shelf to check really quickly for a guide, look for certain characters' appearance, remind myself of the art credits. And the omnibuses are not my fave for that. To me, an omnibus is like a sit down and absorb. So for this Ghost Rider run, they could issue omnibuses. I'd be very happy for the people who got the omnibuses, but I have no reason to own that in omnibus. My reading experience, my reference experience is much more smooth just using the epic collections.
Heck, I'm guessing half the people that are buying it will be saying, "This series is so bad, but I'm buying it anyway." I
think that was related to Dark Web. Based on the
I don't do that, but
liar! Show me your library so I can make fun of you.
I don't buy things that I think are bad.
Oh, there we go. That you think are bad.
Right.
That needs to be a segment on my channel. Let me judge your library, Lars. I want to start with you.
Well, I've always been afraid I would cost the publishers a lot of money if I did a proper video on how not to be a completist, because I'm a big believer in not being a completist. But
so do you skip issues let's say X-Men, right? No, Hulk. You got all the Peter David stuff.
I have all
would you get Bill Mantlow's run?
Nope. Nope.
If they omnibused it, what about Bruce Jones? No.
I think Incredible Hulk. I only have Peter David's run. I think that could be it.
Oh,
you're missing Jeff.
Again, I'm in my bunker right now. I'm not at home to look, but
I know.
But Hulk. I only have Peter David. Doctor Strange. I only have Jason Aaron. I only have.
So the Joe Kelly Spider-Man omnibus would be for somebody like you, creator centric. If you like Joe Kelly and
possibly,
Spider-Man.
But see, I barely own any Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm. Omar looks like a man drawn by Maria Love.
No, I mean my X-Men collection is very chopped up by design. I'm not going to buy an era of X-Men that I'm not going to spend money and space on.
You don't have anything that completes all the way. You don't have all of X-Men by Claremont. You don't have all of...
Well, no, certain creators, absolutely, positively. I have all of X-Men by Claremont, absolutely. But if we're talking being an X-Men completist, nowhere near that. No.
Oh, yes, because being an X-Men completion is a road to madness and poverty.
Well, yeah, in a way.
Because you will always find loopholes, and I know that Peter agrees with me. You will always find, I have to get Namor because he was the very first mutant. so I have to buy all his Omnis. I gotta buy Miss Marvel because she was
No,
part of that Chris
You're
Claremont.
describing exactly how this all came to be.
Yeah,
I
I know,
2010, I just
understand.
wanted a shelf of friggin' Uncanny X-Men, and then it turned into this.
Never gonna happen. Because I thought the same thing. I'm gonna buy Uncanny Omnis, and that's it. And then I'm like, oh, Spider-Man's coming out. I've always liked that guy. And that's all she wrote. For me, I think my choice, let me see. There's only 3 Omnis this time. So I'm going to go with one of the epics. Although I'm very excited for the other Fantastic Four and the Incredible Hulk. But I'd like to see this series wrapped up. I really like Star Wars New Republic. It was awesome. And Omnibus Volume 2 right there on my shelf. Well, you can't see it. This book right here has my favorite Star Wars comics in it. And that's the Dark Empire.
Yeah.
So seeing it wrapped up, bittersweet. But let me see what the rest of the chat is excited for. Let me make sure. Let me actually stop screen sharing. Do you guys see any of the Deadpool and Wolverine buckets? I did. Amanda sent me some pictures.
Yeah.
Are they real? Because I'm kind of asking for a friend. Asking for a friend.
Yeah, having missed out on the Dune popcorn bucket, I am kind of interested in this. We
Ghost Rider Epic Collection Daredevil Omnibus Volume 2, the one by Malayev? Is that Malayev? Malayev. Okay. I swear you better not be trolling me. Alien Black, White, and Blood Treasury Edition, Dark Web. Despite Ryan Norris FF. Amazing Spider-Man Epic Collection, Web of Life, Web of Death, and Aliens Black, White, and Blood Treasury. Ultimate X-Men. Weird. Don't know what to make of it yet. Captain America Streets of Poison. If I interviewed T.G. Chichester, I'll have the most viewers live. Really? That guy has a lot of pull, huh? Ghost Rider
I like
Epic.
this Wolverine popcorn bucket. It's like he's vomiting popcorn.
Well, that's not what it's supposed to be used for.
We went to C2E2, and I thought it was someone there was cosplaying as a sandworm from Dune. And someone else had the sandworm popcorn bucket. And was throwing popcorn from the sandworm popcorn bucket for the sandworm to eat too.
That's so ridiculous.
It was an inception of sandworms and popcorn.
Dark Web Omnibus includes a poster of Sydney Sweeney.
There we go.
Correct answer is Omnibus for everything, every time. That's why I love Omnibo.
Here's Omnibo. What up, Omnibo?
And when Hulk Marvel Masterwork comes out, I'll have every issue of Hulk 1 to the end of World War Hulk.
Okay.
And I have almost every Swedish Hulk issue too. That's awesome, Mega Shrimpster. Hope you've been doing well, buddy. Are you sure it's not pronounced Clary? No. I got that one down. I got that one. Thank you, Aria, for being the voice of reason. It's pronounced. Thank you. That's what I've been saying.
Aha.
So it is real. Or Aja, according to Kelly Thompson. I'm not going to correct her. It is real. Ryan Reynolds. Although, the funny thing is like when I interview people, sometimes the creators mispronounce people's names. And let me tell you something about this guy. I'm not that guy that's going to be like, actually, it's not pronounced that way. It's pronounced this way. But every once in a while I do have somebody in the chat going, that's not how you say their name. And I just ignore that comment because the last thing I need to do is for somebody that I'm interviewing going, what's going on in the chat? They're saying that I'm not pronouncing this name right.
Well, and Kelly Thompson brought up a good point that she often in the States maybe got to do conventions with creators that were mostly state-based creators, and many of them were the writers.
Yeah.
But they don't, the writers don't necessarily speak live to every artist, colorist, and letterer that they work with. And
Right.
so she was kind of apologetically being like, oh, damn, I don't even know how to pronounce correctly the name of this artist I've done some issues with. And you kind of forgot everybody's remote, and that's always been comics. That's not like a pandemic era thing. Comics have been fully remote for so long that a lot of these people never meet or get a chance to talk to each other.
Curtis, what is your pick of the week or the month, I guess, for this solicitations?
Well, what did I miss? Can you go through them again for me?
We missed your Canadian intensity on the epic line.
I picked this book. Look, here's the epics. Golly, you didn't even have my video playing in the background while you were having an important meeting.
No.
Do you even near mint, Curtis? Yeah.
Oh
Wait,
man.
buddy.
I
All
wish.
right. We have Amazing Spider-Man Epic Collection, Web of Life, Web of Death, Ghost Rider Epic Collection, The Salvation Run, Star Wars, wrapping up the New Republic Volume 8, Modern Era Epic Volume 3 of Daredevil, and Volume 2 of Captain America, and the reprints of Captain America Epic, Streets of Poison, and Incredible Hulk Future Imperfect. Give me one,
Oh,
Curtis.
man.
Give me
This
one.
is so hard. There are so many great choices here.
I just need one.
I think I'm gonna say the conclusion to the Daredevil one, Daredevil Out, because
Volume
I
3.
really like that first one.
Yep, good choice.
This is gonna be both so great. So I think it's definitely a toss up between those
Curtis,
two, and I'm
how
also
do you
really
say-
excited about Star Wars.
How do you
being
say
done.
the artist's last name on that one? Alex?
Oh, yeah, Curtis.
Alex?
Well, okay. So here's the thing. It's Malev, based on his country of origin, and I only know this because I was talking to him about the Marvel art book that Clover Press is working on right now, and so it's not Malev, it's Malev,
Mm-hmm. Not
Yeah.
Malev.
not Malev.
not Malev.
Malev. It's not
Yeah, it's
Malev.
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 Malev. Interesting. How about DG Chichester, Curtis?
I think you
Care
got
to
that
comment
one.
on that one? Curtis, I asked you a question. Chime in on
Oh,
DG Chichester.
It's good. You're good. You're good.
I'm good. Oh, really? Because the chat would beg to differ. That's
Chichester.
I have lots to say.
Chichester, and I know that one because I specifically asked him when I did an interview with him on my podcast.
Oh, see,
So-
Curtis has interviewed Chichester Omar because Curtis is a real fan.
Peter,
Whoa.
this isn't an evergreen chat. We don't have to fight. Oh my goodness.
Malaysia.
Speaking of live streams, before I sign off, the three gentlemen up at the top are going to be joining me this Sunday at 2:30 to announce the top 60 DC Omnis that you all voted for.
Yes.
So thank you all so much for voting. And you crazy people that try to vote for more than one book, like in the same poll, you're gonna get caught. What was wrong with you? I even specifically said don't do that, and you still did it. So good on you.
And there was a book that I
Sorry.
thought was going to be in the top 60 that got knocked out because people made
Fraud.
obviously fraudulent votes. And you broke my heart, people.
Yeah.
I want you to know.
It got booted off of the top 60.
It better not be Sugar and Spike that got kicked out.
Oh
damn it.
my gosh, you and 5 people voted for that, Jess. But
Oh.
I'm not gonna spoil anything else.
I'm
We're
sure I was
We're
the
gonna do
only
it
one.
live at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we'll have a slideshow and talk about it and have some fun. And also, Tiger Eyes will be joining us for that. And then we got a couple of other shows lined up for the rest of June that I'll be announcing later on. I just want to get some confirmations and get people psyched up for those. Especially the library show. I'm really excited to do that one. Omar, I always agree with you as long as you are.
Yes, yeah.
God, that's playing it safe.
I say much
appreciate
the
it.
same. Yes.
Oh, thank you, Phenomenal AC. And a package went out to you today, by the way, buddy. Go ahead, Lars.
Because some people in the feed were asking about this because we were talking about paper stocks before we got online, and so the GI Joe compendiums that are running on Kickstarter right now. Again, I'm kind of back and forth on buying them now. Curtis, you say you saw them clarify what the paper stock was going to be. I think some people in the feed wanted to know about this.
Yeah, if you go to their Kickstarter page in the frequently asked questions, it does state what kind of paper is there. Let me see if I can just find it here.
Premium stock, 80 GSM, ivory, uncoated, WF, pure paper.
Right. So standard printer paper is about 80. So this is 75. It's a little thinner than standard printer paper. but it's going to be equivalent to what you'd find in an Epic collection. WF stands for wood free, which means that they've bleached the paper, the pulp, to remove any of the materials that would normally rot in wood. So it's going to last a while.
But we're talking like Epic level, not like maybe the souped up stuff you'd expect in an omnibus.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and keep in mind the other thing about the compendiums is that they're standard size. They're not oversized. They're the size of trade paperbacks.
Yeah, there is that too.
So, and people have asked me, what should they do? And I always hate answering that question because it's not what they should do. It's always like what I would do. And my what I would do is not very wise. Like I always tell people, like, don't listen to me. Don't do what I do. I'm an idiot. Especially when it comes to like things like money. But if I love something, I'm like, okay, there is no way to get G.I. Joe in collected edition because those IDW books are out of print. Go through the whole thing. But what happens when there's a Marvel Omnibus of G.I. Joe? I'm going to tell you what I would do. I'd buy the whole damn thing again because that's how stupid I am. It's an oversized format. It's the way that, I like to collect my books. It would be the same thing with Transformers. They're like, what if they do that with Transformers? Same thing. I'd buy the compendium because it's not available. And then I would double dip and get the Omnis because that's just the way it is.
I personally don't think it's healthy to fantasize about these alternate timelines where years down the road there might be a change in who has the license and they might decide to put out a different format. I prefer to make decisions in the now. And my dilemma here is that even though I have some slight concerns about the quality, those G.I. Joes in the Kickstarter, it seems like that is the best presentation of the material we're going to get until one of these alternate timelines occur. So, yeah.
I mean, but anything is possible, right? Because people are like, look what happened to Rom. Look what happened to Godzilla.
Well, I mean, you're
those are Hasbro properties. At any moment, Marvel could be like, hey, we want to do this thing too.
You're right, but I just can't lose sleep over what may or may not happen to that license in Marvel 5 to 10 years from now.
Lose sleep when they announce the polybag variant.
I've already lost sleep over that. Yeah,
polybag variant.
I'm really struggling on that. I mean, we know that I'm a major G.I. Joe fan. I have that monstrous G.I. Joe coffee table book up there on the shelf that I don't even have the strength to carry down from there for the stream, and I'm seriously torn. Them being standard size, I'm kind of like, plus the shipping to New Zealand is ridiculous. But then it is a nicer presentation than just the paperback compendiums. It is everything complete. I love they say exactly how they're going to be mapped. They have all the special missions, all of the one shots. It even has
they don't have the Transformers.
They do.
Yes,
they added it
in there. Okay. So it's kind of like, it's a good map. It's a and each of them are 1,200 to 1,224 pages. So we're talking about 4,800 pages of G.I. Joe that you can just have in your house, just like that, by pledging to this Kickstarter. But then part of me says, are you gonna reread that multiple times? All
so 4,800, good, man.
A lot of it's so good, and I love it so much. I'm a huge G.I. Joe fan. But I'm struggling. I'm gonna go down to the last second because I just went all in on the Lumberjanes Kickstarter, and these are expensive Kickstarters, especially to get shipped to New Zealand. We're talking about in New Zealand money, like close to $1,000 by the time I'm all in on these
even if it's not. Yeah, no, it's worse for you. But like those G.I. Joes, it's like with shipping, $350 is.
Now, if you get it from Cheap Graphic Novels, it will be $315. So that's my plug for Cheap Graphic Novels.
But retailers can pledge for the hardcovers, so there might be some real retailers who do sell these hardcovers.
And that's the way Cheap Graphic Novels are doing. They themselves are pledging to get the the retailer version so they can save people on shipping. But look, like I know I've gone on about Kickstarters. I'm not the biggest fan of companies doing this for something big like G.I. Joe. Lumberjanes, I completely understand. I get it. That and Giant Days. Makes sense. But with like Mark Waid's Irredeemable, G.I. Joe, or even the Gargoyles by Dynamite, like that's, well, maybe Gargoyles, not so much, but they're doing like a Darkwing Duck one. It's like...
I think it works fine. I got the Irredeemable one. I think it works fine.
I'm saying it doesn't need it though. Like I think
But our market is
smaller
so
companies,
small, Omar. Like, even
what's that?
Our market is so small. I think Kickstarter is just a way to kind of circumvent the direct market. Will they, won't they pre-order process and just like really go direct to consumer? Like, what's wrong with going direct to consumer? The Kickstarter isn't the only way to do it out there, but it's a much better way to gauge the demand for some of these books. Like, we can pretend, and also many people who would want a G.I. Joe book probably have no idea that there's the Energon universe. They have no idea that there's compendiums. They probably haven't been to a comic shop since 1997. More people are going to see this Kickstarter than would ever probably even buy the direct market compendiums. Like, Kickstarter is a much bigger platform than comic shops.
I see what you're saying. And I think, it does hurt the retailers, right? It does, like, Kickstarters do that.
Potentially.
For like I said, I think there's actually a good reason to have Kickstarters for lesser known books or creators. I think that's great. Or if you're a small publisher, because we also don't know what goes, like, I mean, Curtis can speak of this with Clover Press doing Kickstarters for their art books, right? Like, would it have been possible?
We do Kickstarters for pretty much all of our books.
Right? Well, would it have been possible for those books to even come out, even with big names like Russell Dodderman, without Kickstarter?
Yes, but then you'd have to have so the company has to put up that overhead before in order to, like, get the books printed, pay the licensing fees, pay the artists, all that kind of stuff, pay the employees like myself to put the books together. All of that stuff is accounted for with Kickstarter. So it is a way for smaller companies who don't have the same overhead to get that out there. Now, is Diamond considered a small company? Sorry, not Diamond. Dynamite, is that considered a small company? It is still considered a small company, especially when you compare it to Marvel and stuff. So, but the fact that they want to go through and do a Kickstarter for even a big property like Darkwing Duck, which actually isn't that big of a property that you think it is.
Particularly on the comic book side.
Yeah, it's just not. And same with G.I. Joe. To be perfectly honest, it is an important licensing element that Hasbro has, but the movies don't generate very, very much. The toys, they sell toys, but they don't. It's not like they're making.
Well, they do
so much money
Kickstarters
off
for
of it.
toys too, like the His Tank.
Hasbro or Dynamite does.
HasLab.
Or
Like
the
actual
Hasbro Direct.
toys.
It's like their own built-in.
Yeah,
house
so they do like
Kickstarter.
Kickstarters for their toys too. So
Yeah.
they're no stranger to the idea of doing Kickstarters. And I know fans hated that at first,
But
but it doesn't make sense when you have like a $500 Unicron, like a $500 Unicron, or I can't remember how much the His Tank was. It was like $300 or something like that.
Yeah.
Um,
I think the biggest thing for the small companies is that when the comic books it's a small market, like you said, Peter, and when publisher with a publisher goes the conventional route of doing it through retail, then they sell the copy of the book for a really small price to the distributor, and the distributor then sells it to the retailer, and then the retailer sells it to the consumer. So already the amount of money that the publisher gets is like this much compared to the cover price. And so to sell it direct to consumer, that means that they're able to actually make the money that they want to make off of the book.
Yes, to be slightly fair here, in a world where ROM and Micronauts were deemed to be lucrative enough to do kind of, comic shop releases and so on, G.I. Joe probably would have sold just fine.
yeah, but that's also
But as you
Marvel,
say-
right?
But as you say,
compared to
well,
compared
either
Skybound.
way, I think the people who want
Well, and they okay. And to clarify something else, though, they still are. They're coming out with compendiums. They're just soft cover compendiums.
Yeah,
at retailer
Hitting
level.
retail.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but as Curtis says, they get all of the money put up here, and also you get all the books at once. I mean, as opposed to them taking however long they would take to come out.
Well,
I
I
think
think
this
the
is-
thing that all of us kind of repeatedly skip over, and Curtis alluded to, is the direct-to-consumer component of taking something like ROM. ROM had a toy. It was thought widely of as a disaster. There's no cartoon, ROM's primary nostalgia lies with comic readers. So for Marvel to be
Not
the
just all
primary
comic readers, a very
very
small, narrow
specific,
part of comic
very
readers.
narrow. So like that's a perfect thing for a Marvel Omnibus, because the niche of people who are obsessed with ROM are largely the people tuned into Marvel Omnibuses. G.I. Joe, there are so many literal millions of people who bought the G.I. Joe comic book off the newsstand from the 80s, who own G.I. Joe toys, who have the DVD of the G.I. Joe movie, who saw the recent G.I. Joe movies, right? Who like just a Marvel Omnibus would not touch any of them. And I think what people miss, and what Curtis alluded to, is if you're just going to sell these through the book market, you're relying on every single book retailer to make a wager on how many of their audience are G.I. Joe fans and order commensurately so that you get a big enough order to do the print run that you want. But with this, Kickstarter is like its own PR, right? Like there's going to be like YouTube channels like this one, possibly even real television stations being like, G.I. Joe is back in a record-setting Kickstarter. Kickstarter has this PR built in, and you get direct orders from the consumer. ROM may not have benefited at all, one iota. But for something like Power Rangers, for G.I. Joe, for Darkwing Duck, for any of these things that have a big nostalgia factor where people outside the comic industry are the primary pool of buyers, it makes a lot of sense to do something that can get media coverage and that you can sell directly to a consumer. It makes a huge difference, a difference in thousands of books.
Yeah,
and the targeted ads will make a big difference as well. If you'll target your ads on Facebook for people who like 90s nostalgia for Darkwing Duck and all of that kind of stuff, they're not going to do that for a standard retail release, but they will do that for a Kickstarter.
Everything you're saying is true, but we were talking about G.I. Joe here, which was basically one of the most successful books of the 1980s. If anything would have that broad appeal, it would be G.I. Joe.
So I did have friends that didn't even know about the comic book. I had friends that knew about the show, and vice versa. There were friends that I had that only read the comic and didn't care for the show because the show had no stakes, right? It was like people jumped out of the planes with their parachutes. Nobody died in the show. They couldn't even kill Duke in the freaking movie because of the backlash of Transformers with Optimus Prime. If you remember the ending, they didn't even.
I was once a man.
They didn't even reanimate the ending. Everybody's crying that Duke was supposed to die, and then they're like, "Oh wait, he's out of his coma." Even as a kid, I was like, "Why are they still crying?" So the only thing to keep in mind is like I don't even know how popular G.I. Joe was outside of the States. They renamed it something else.
Action Force.
Action Force, right? In the UK. But like in Canada, did you guys get that? Curtis, like growing up, did you guys get G.I. Joe?
Yeah, we had the toys and the cartoon bled over to Canada for sure. And it was popular, but I don't think it was America popular.
And instead of Kung Fu Grip, they all just did very polite handshakes.
That's right.
There's some really good questions, and I wish I had more time, so I'm just going to pick a couple. With Skybound doing this, that completely shuts Marvel out from doing any reprints until Skybound loses the license, correct?
Correct.
No.
What?
That is not correct.
Well, I mean,
I'm just saying it's not correct. I've learned a lot about licenses through the years.
It depends on the contract.
Right. It belongs to Hasbro. It doesn't belong to Skybound. So Hasbro can be like, nope, never mind. That's saying too much.
It depends because if the wording in the contract says that Skybound has exclusive comic rights, hardcovers and softcover or whatever, exclusive rights, then yeah, Marvel can't do anything about it. But if the wording doesn't say that, then there can be wiggle room, and then there can also be amendments later on to the contract if Marvel wants to do something that allows for that kind of stuff.
Apologies. It's not beyond all metaphysical certitude that Marvel couldn't do some reprinting. Nonetheless, I mean, to allow Skybound to do this, big Kickstarter thing and then also allow Marvel to do reprinting, I just don't see that.
No, it wouldn't happen because then you'd have competing books with the exact same material out in the market at the same time.
The odds of it are greater than zero, but it's not very likely.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to highlight just a couple of these. With Skybound doing this, it completely shuts Marvel. I did that one. The thing with G.I. Joe is that you pay a premium price to get nice hardcovers, or you have to settle for cheap newsprint softcovers. I think they're going to have the same paper stock, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, and
that
that's a
will
good
freeze and
question
possibly
because
fall apart.
in a previous press release they did say it was newsprint,
Yeah.
and so we don't know if that's like going to change or if that was a mistake or what. There's kind of no clarification on that.
There was an unfortunate press release that did kind of say it will be crappy. Won't that be great from a nostalgia point of view? And it's like, no, it won't be great from a nostalgia point of view. Crap is not great, but maybe they've reversed on that.
Oh, you've
But
never
we'll just say,
read
can I also
Mary
say
Summer?
that
Oh, it's so good, man. Like there are casualties, there are things that are just like you don't even see coming. There are popular characters that don't make it throughout the whole series. It's an awesome run.
It is pretty great. I will. The first half of the Marvel run is really incredible. I will say the second half is much choppier.
Now, the other thing I need to clarify too, for people that have asked, is this will only be the Marvel stuff. It won't be the IDW continuation of A Real American Hero.
Yes, correct. Yes.
Which is gone all the way to issue 300. So almost like you could almost do another round of books that just collect that stuff.
and they very well could. They might do that.
Yeah. Okay, I think we need to wrap up. We've gone on for a couple of hours. Jess, any thoughts on G.I. Joe compendiums or Kickstarters? Nothing. No thoughts at all.
None. I don't know who Joe Don Baker is from the Hitchhiker's Galaxy either, or
Joe
whatever
Don
that
Baker.
was.
Nice. It's good that you paid
Whatever.
attention
Sorry.
and learned some things today, though. That's wonderful.
No.
Where can people find
Wow.
you?
Oh, if they're still awake. Omnidog's Vault on
Oh my
YouTube.
God.
Saturday, I'm having Omnibo on from the chat in Batter Days in the Batcave, and that will be fun. And then Sunday, I am appearing on Near Mint Condition for the DC voting results, which I'm looking forward to.
Thank you, buddy. At 4:13, let me get this super chat really quick from Elon. And Omnidog appearing everywhere. Okay, this is I have sent Max a Discord message on how to pronounce Chichester.
No.
Just Max. Max will be the only one that knows, by the way. Lars, where can people find you, buddy?
Yes, I'm at madnorwegian.com. And again, outside of comicdom, I am best known for writing insane guidebooks to Doctor Who, including a history, the Doctor Who timeline that I co-write with Lance Parkin.
Thank you so much for that.
Mad Norwegian Press.
And what about you, Max? Where can people find you, buddy?
People can find me on Instagram under my name, which is there. It's harder to do. There. Yeah. And also on YouTube under the same name, because that's my name. I'm also on the Discord doing things that are filth. I just heard Alon's message, and I can't say that aloud because you'd get demonetized. So,
oh, you're such a gentleman and a scholar. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you for ruining Omar's life. Well
thank
done.
you. Many have tried. Many have tried. Curtis, where can people find you, buddy?
I head over to epicmarvelpodcast.com or there's more action over at the Facebook group. If you search up Epic Collections on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, Discord. Again, James is putting the links in the chat. So thank you very much for that.
And then I'll answer for Peter. Peter can be found at Crushing Kite Ice. Never mind. Peter, where can people find you, buddy?
Whoa. What?
Some crab on the bottom of the ocean must have tripped over our internet cable because things are getting wacky down here. I'm Crisis with a K. I can be found at crushingcrisis.com, where I am writing about new Marvel comic books and new DC comic books as they come out every week, explaining if you would like them, just like I do on the show, and then explaining how their entire history, stretching back to the Golden Age, has been collected.
And I am the Uncanny Omar, and I want to thank my wonderful panel today for joining me. Jess, you learn so much every time you do one of these. You learn about Tom Baker, you learn about G.I. Joe and compendiums and Kickstarters. And
Believe.
Do you feel like you've attained enlightenment?
Curtis, say believe one more time.
Malef.
Never say believe again. Malef. Got it.
Malef.
Everyone stay healthy and safe. And if you want G.I. Joe and don't want to pay $50 for the shipping, it's $15 through Cheap Graphic Novels, who's our sponsor for the last part of the show. And tell them Near Mint Condition sent you their way for free shipping on your next order. And that's it. Malev. Everyone, have a wonderful day.
Shalom, Malev.
Hit that like button.